welcome back to my channel. My name is Tammy Bashore, and today I want to talk a little bit about the things you need when you go camping with dogs. As you can see, I am here in our camper. We went camping for the weekend, and as always, we bring our two dogs. So I thought I would just make a quick video to help you see some of the things that we bring with us that make camping with dogs a lot easier. So we camp with two dogs, but these suggestions can work if you just have one dog or multiples as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is that you're going to need some way to tie up your dog at the campsite. Most campgrounds are going to require that your dogs are leashed or tied to something so that they're not just roaming free. Now we have two dogs, so we use a system of two different types of tie-ups, and I'll tell you here why in just a second. But we have a spiral stake tie-up, and then we also have a 30-foot long line leash type tie-up that we also use, and we use these two different ones for our two dogs for a different reason. The long leader we typically want to wrap around a tree, any tree that we have available. So we always try to pick a campsite that has a tree, and so the first thing we do is we put that leader around a tree. Then I see how far that leader can go, and then I take my spiral stake and I put it in a different area, and that one gets screwed into the ground, so it's a little bit more flexible. It doesn't require a tree. And so that's why we use these two, and that way we can get them far enough apart that they're not always getting tangled around each other or around the picnic table or whatever else might be there. It gets them far enough apart that we don't have to deal with that. Now, it's not always the case. Sometimes we're still dealing with that, but the spiral one allows us to have a little bit of flexibility, whereas the one that goes around the tree does not. Now, the reason we don't use two spiral ones is because sometimes our dogs are strong enough to pull the spiral out. Not always. It depends on how soft the ground is when in the campsite that we're at. But for the most part, it keeps them there. It might loosen depending on how long that you're camping from them just moving around. And so I might have to move the spiral a few times. But it gives us that flexibility to kind of move it around, or even as the sun moves on your campground, if one spot becomes sunny, you can move it to a different spot. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility to have the two different types of tie-ups, especially if you have two dogs or more than that. Even if you have one dog, just gives you a little bit of flexibility to move that dog around as needed on your campsite. So you're going to need some sort of tie-up or a two tie-up system like we use. You're also going to want some sort of water resistant or waterproof dog food storage. We keep our dog food outside, and so we keep it in a plastic container even when it's at home. It's just easier to access, carry, move around, open, close, all of that. And then when we're here at the campsite, critters can't get into it from the outside, and if it rains, then the water isn't getting inside and making the dog food soggy. So we have had good success with this plastic container that we use. The next thing you're going to want to have is a water dish. Now we use this really large water dish. It's called the Watering Hole, and it's from Roughland Kennels. And it can fill up with a lot of water. So I'm not constantly making trips to our bathrooms here to get it filled with water, or the spigot. I'm able to fill it up with a lot of water, and that lasts for most of the day, depending on how hot it is and how much they're drinking. So some sort of large water dish that is mobile. This one has a handle, so I'm able to carry it around, move it easily. It doesn't splash water out. I can throw it in the back of our vehicle by tipping it on its back, and then I'm able to transport it wherever we go, camping, hiking, anything that we're doing with the dogs while we're here. We use an old double food dish essentially as our food dishes for both of them. And so like I said, we have two dogs, so we use the double food dish. We put food on each side, and then the dogs can come eat from their side, and then I just keep the water dish near them. So you'll want some sort of food dish system. If your dogs do not do well by sharing food side by side, I know some can get aggressive, then you'll want some other sort of system. Or sometimes I take the bowls out. These are removable, so if the dogs are far enough apart and I need to take them out and they both can't reach the food dish, then I will take them, move them to each one. The only downside with that is sometimes if they don't want to eat, they'll knock the food over, and then I've got food all over and it's wasted. And so that's not always a good thing, but it has worked. We do the best we can when we're camping, but just some sort of dog food dish so that you're able to give them their food when needed. So you'll want some sort of travel kennel. Now, if you travel to your campsite, I hope that you had them in some sort of safe travel kennel in your vehicle as you transported them. So we just typically take those out of our vehicles, place them on our campsite somewhere in a shady spot. We point them so that they're pointed away from the road, because sometimes we use them if we need to go do something and the dogs need to stay at the campsite. We will put them in their kennels, weather permitting, obviously, if it's nice out, so it's not too hot. Otherwise, if it's too hot, we put them in the camper, but if it's not too hot, we can put them out in their little kennels or not raining or whatever. But I will point them away from the street so that they're not distracted by every single person or dog that is walking by. So they're looking more towards the back of the campsite. And again, using their travel kennels allows me to move them around on site as the sun moves, so I can make sure that they're always in the shade no matter what. Obviously, we want to make sure we clean up after our dogs, so using some sort of bag to clean up after them. I just use the shopping bags from our grocery stores that we maybe brought our groceries in, and that's what I use to clean up the dog poo on the site. Plus, I don't like it on their paws because then they come in the camper and it gets in here, so we just always make sure we're cleaning up after them to keep our site clean for the people after us and to keep our camper clean. You'll want some sort of dog toy or dog entertainment, whether it be in their kennels when you're gone. It gives them something to chew on while you're gone. In the evenings, if it's rainy outside and you need to be inside, it gives them something to play with. I will list a bunch down below that are our favorites that you can check out. Now, for us, our dogs like to play fetch. So instead of bringing balls which bounce all over and are easily lost, when not contained in our backyard, we bring our dummies, which actually store nicely in the back of our kennel covers that we have. So we have a plastic one that floats if we want to throw it into water, and then we have your standard one, canvas covered, that we typically use the most because it's a little bit smaller, easier on their mouths. Their water one is a little bit larger, but we use both. Kind of depends on what we're doing, and if they both want to play fetch, then we have one for each, but they store nicely right in the back of our kennel covers. And then lastly, you'll want to make sure you have collars with ID tags on them. Should your dog get loose, get away from you somehow, you want to make sure that your dog can be identified and that you're easily found so that you can get your dog back safely. So I always have collars that have their ID tags. I don't even have collars that don't have ID tags on them. If we're not at home, they have collars on. To make sure that if for some reason they ever get away, that I can definitely get them back. So I hope you enjoy your camping adventures with dogs. Our dogs love to camp. They know that it's nonstop fun. It's playing all day long. It's being outside, which is their favorite. It's bird watching 24/7, people watching 24/7. They might even get to go swimming, which makes them happy. So I hope that you will take your dogs on a camping adventure. You don't need a camper to go camping with your dogs. We did it with tents for years. We just got our camper last year. Just poses new challenges, but you can definitely do it. So I hope you will enjoy your camping adventures, and I will see you in the next video.